I'm going to call to order the town council meeting for July the 1st. If we could all please stand for the invocation. Councilman Taylor.
Dear kind Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for this beautiful island that you've given us to live on, Lord. We pray for its safety. We pray for its citizens, Lord. We pray for its visitors, Lord. Lord, we pray for the EMS to keep it healthy. Lord, we pray for our police department to keep it safe, Lord, and our workers that keep the water, the sidewalks, everything clean for people to come and want to be here, Lord. And Lord, we pray that we have the right attitude to share this island during the tourist season. Lord, be with each and every person here, each and every employee, Lord. Please put a hedge of protection around them. And Lord, we please pray for our military, Lord. Give them, each man and woman, strength, Lord, to get through each day and all the things that go on to get through each day in the military, Lord, and the stresses, Lord, being away from their families. Lord, we praise you and thank you for all you do. Lord, please guide us, and may we make decisions that are pleasing to you. And Lord, we just thank you for everything that you do. For we ask these things in Jesus' precious name, and for his sake, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, sir. All right, Mr. Landsberger, you're first on the list. No? Somebody else.
A couple of things. First of all, I want to give you an update on the Y. Saturday, for about 13 hours, we had people there. We poured 193 yards of concrete. We had 20 trucks, and we completed our monolithic pour of the entire foundation and of the slab. So that's all done. The post holders are in place for the outside walls of the pole barn construction. The insides will be drilled when they start. They'll be starting on August the 1st. I expect within 4 to 5 weeks after they start, the shell of the building should be complete. And then the real fun starts because we have to do all the internal work. But all the electrical lines, all the plumbing lines, all the water lines, all the septic lines have all been run underneath the slab. Go there and take a look at it. It's a fairly large, impressive chunk of concrete. If you have any questions about the Y, let me know. I gave you guys drawings last time, so you know what's going to be in there. I have two other small things. I've been talking to Mike about the funds that Brianna's Wish raised for the park, and he's told me that sometime this week he'll be giving me an accountant. The funds were raised and donated and handled through the Island Community House, so we feel a certain amount of responsibility for knowing whatever happened to them. As far as I know, they have not been spent yet. When I look in your town budget, I can't find an item, but technically speaking, I don't think that's your money, so it's probably not in the budget, but I'd like to know what's going on. And I'm also still waiting, as Mike knows, for the equipment that I bought 3 years ago to be installed on the exercise path. The exercise path has been put in, but the equipment's still not there. And equipment that was bought far after that has already been put in. So I'd really like to get some of that equipment put in. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Knight?
Good evening. First, I'd like to thank you, Mayor Leonard, for coming to Jane Peak's celebration of life.
Certainly.
Yesterday. Your presentation was great. Secondly, like correction to the minutes, the way my name is spelled is Jeanne. My first name is Jean. And then the other thing has nothing to do with what we talked about before. I'd like to request on the behalf of the people on Ocean Breeze, we thank you, by the way, for the efforts that you put forth in getting the mailboxes installed. We're not able to use them yet for, I don't know what's going on with that, but we request that you pave in front of the mailboxes instead of just have the gravel down there, because we think that cars coming in there constantly and with water and everything, it's just going to cause the same problem that occurred before, where the postal worker was injured. So that's it.
Ms.
Thank
Knight,
you.
could you state your address for the record, please?
Yes, 8139 Seashell.
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
All righty. Mr. Talbert, now's your opportunity.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There has been a lot of questions about mail delivery in Ocean Breeze, and a lot of misinformation published. So I thought I'd give you a brief history, everybody in the room, including those watching, of what took place over the last few years, so that we can straighten this out a little bit. Ms. Fran Pullen contacted me in August of 2021 via email. Mrs. Pullen, I will say, has been a constant driving force in keeping this issue in front of the proper officials. She has not let it go. She has kept up with communications and kept it in the forefront, and that's one of the reasons that it's getting done. Anyhow, Ms. Pullen contacted me about the problem. I told her that I would certainly try to lend whatever assistance the town could to the issue. Not that we have anything to do with mail delivery, because we don't, but that the town may have some more clout than an individual. So I wrote a letter to the state postal manager, whom she provided the address for, stating how it was not fair that the citizens of Ocean Breeze did not receive mail delivery. Again, I will reiterate that the town of Chincoteague has no responsibility for mail delivery or mail delivery facilities or trucks or anything thereof. Communications went back and forth between Mrs. Pullen, myself, state officials for nearly 2 years. In fact, at one point, even took Elena Loria on her visit to the island down through Ocean Breeze and identified the area as not having mail service, and she promptly had her staff contact U.S. Postal Service on their behalf. And I have to feel like that moved the needle just a little bit. The state eventually offered community boxes, which is not home delivery, which was not ideal, but they informed us that no development currently being planned gets home delivery. And my comment was, you mean even the big fancy high-priced homes and the new developments in Northern Virginia don't get home delivery? And the answer was absolutely not. They make the developer buy the community boxes and install the community boxes, and the HOA maintains community boxes, and they deliver them. And that was the answer I got. In any event, they offered to provide the boxes. In order to expedite delivery to the community, the Ocean Breeze community, we offered to install the boxes. It's not hard. We know how to do it. Our public works folks are perfectly capable of doing this. We offered to assist them in finding a place to put the boxes, because there was no property down there that the post office owned. We reached out to the original developer, who still had several vacant lots in the community, and he refused to give us an easement to install boxes on any of his properties. The original plan was to split these boxes up into a couple of different groups and make it more convenient for the community. When he refused to provide any easements on properties that he owned, Wes and I went out and identified an area in our right-of-way right at the entrance to the community from Ridge Road. So after identifying that, the fun began. We hired a surveyor to locate the property lines to make sure that we did not put the facility on someone else's property. We contacted the neighbor in front to let him know that that's what we intended to do and make sure there was no misunderstanding there. We graded and prepped the site, installed the surfacing, installed drainage conduits, we formed and poured the concrete pad, transported and laid out and installed the boxes, and we even called ANEC and asked them to install a street light over the boxes so that no one would fall and trip and hurt themselves while retrieving their mail in the dark. So after completing all of the work, which is over and above the normal workload of Public Works, it's another project they didn't need. Last week, the postmaster of the town of Chincoteague came in the office here and presented me with a contract that, if we had signed, would have obligated the town of Chincoteague to maintain those boxes and that site in perpetuity. When I refused to sign the contract, she stated that no mail would be delivered until the contract signed. Personally, I feel like the town of Chincoteague has gone, and the council has gone above and beyond in order to provide a facility, a very nice facility, by all accounts, for the residents of Ocean Breeze to receive their mail so they didn't have to drive downtown. And just asking us to maintain it in perpetuity and sign a contract, that's a little off the cuff here. But apparently, upon refusing to sign the maintenance agreement, the postmaster began announcing to all the residents that the town of Chincoteague was preventing mail delivery in Ocean Breeze, which of course could not be farther from the truth. We've done everything to facilitate mail delivery. Let me reiterate that the town of Chincoteague has absolutely nothing to do with mail delivery on the island or anywhere else. So I spoke with U.S. Postal Service District Manager on Friday, and I made him aware of the situation. And I spoke with him again this morning via telephone, and he assured me that all the residents of Ocean Breeze would be handed keys to those boxes this week. That's this week, this current week. He then thanked the town because he's seen pictures of the facility. He said it was very expertly done. He said it's a very nice facility. He said generally what happens is, in a development, when it has an HOA, he said the HOA has to maintain the boxes and the Postal Service maintains the locks. In this case, they're waiving that, and the post office will not make the town of Chincoteague responsible for maintaining the boxes. So where we stand right now, I've been told that Ocean Breeze residents can go to the post office anytime this week and pick up a set of keys for their box. They'll have a box assigned. And hopefully that'll be the end of this saga, and the problem is solved. They'll have mailboxes and mail delivery in their community, although not as we originally planned. And I want to say a big thanks to the Public Works Department in West Parks, who did an outstanding job of an expertly designed and constructed facility. It's very nice. If you haven't seen it, ride down there. They did an excellent job of it. It has drainage. It's on our property. It has nice surfacing. I don't know about paving it, but it has very nice surfacing. It's safe. There's a light over it, and in, by the way, which the town of Chincoteague will pay for in perpetuity. But if we didn't put a light there, we feel like somebody might trip and hurt themselves in the dark trying to get their mail. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to set the record straight. That's the town of Chincoteague's role in this whole saga, and I don't feel it's fair that the town of Chincoteague is being vilified as preventing mail delivery in Ocean Breeze. And if you all have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Go ahead, Denise.
And I'm assuming, and I think you and I talked about this, but the town spent, what, to the tune of around $10,000 of town?
Probably not quite there, but we have several $1,000s in this facility.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. That was unbudgeted, by the way.
I think that you, Wes, the town itself has done its due diligence in it. I mean, those people deserve mail, and
Absolutely.
they deserve to get their mail. And I feel like that their mail was probably on the verge of being held hostage until you made those phone calls. So thank you very much.
Anyone else? All right, thank you, Mike. So I will entertain a motion to adopt tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All righty, we've got some proclamations to read. And the first one, this is a certificate of recognition presented to Miss Peggy Ann Daisy Bowden. whereas Miss Bowden was born June the 9th, 1934, and has been a lifelong and valued citizen of the town of Chincoteague, and whereas Miss Bowden will be honored by the relatives and friends on the occasion of her 90th birthday, and whereas Miss Bowden has been blessed with 3 children, 7 grandchildren, 9 great-grandchildren, and 6 great-great-grandchildren, and whereas Miss Bowden's experience in her career as a server includes several local landmarks comprising of the Flagship, Wright's Beachway, Landmark Crab House, Bill's, Island Family Restaurant, including owning and operating Floyd's Drive-In. And whereas, in addition to her Chincoteague Island home, Miss Bowden has enjoyed traveling throughout the United States and Europe, including England, Scotland, and France. Now, therefore, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the town of Chincoteague, I do hereby deem it an honor and pleasure to extend this tribute to Miss Peggy Ann Bowden on the occasion of her 90th birthday, with sincere congratulations and best wishes for many more happy, productive years. And it says presented on the 20th day of June, but we all know it's July 1st. You want to get us in the They wouldn't do that.
Yeah. Couldn't think of what they even
All right, I'm going to remain standing for this one. All right, this is a certificate of recognition in memory of Miss Jane Peak. And if y'all didn't know Miss Peak, she was a blessing to the island. She spent her last few years here and did so much that we don't realize. She was in the Coast Guard Auxiliary and all that good stuff. So, this certificate of recognition is in memory of Miss Jane Peak, whereas Miss Peak was born in Baltimore in 1945, educated at Virginia Tech, served as a systems engineer and manager, and retired after 25 years of stellar service with IBM. And whereas Miss Peak relocated to the town of Chincoteague upon her retirement and dedicated her energies to improving the community, serving multiple civic organizations, and whereas Miss Peak served the United States Coast Guard Auxiliary for 16 years, even though some people say it was longer, in multiple roles, including flotilla commander and making significant contributions to the command and leading the way for a more community support of the Coast Guard. And whereas Ms. Peak directed the Chincoteague Island Arts Organization for several years and was instrumental in developing the organization's appeal and outreach to island residents. And whereas upon her leaving this world, a giant void was created which cannot easily be filled or repaired, as she will be sorely missed by the entire community. Now, therefore, by the virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the town of Chincoteague, I do hereby deem it an honor to extend this tribute in memory of Miss Jane Peak, whose involvement, dedication, and endless energy made the town of Chincoteague a better place to work and live. Warren? Here you are, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Oh, Miss Peak. Okay. Moving on, staff reports, general government, Talbert.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Looking at our grants, the Septic Local Partners Program, the Committee for Septic Local Partners Grant met for the purpose of reviewing applications received to this point. We have 9 at this point. We expect to be able to begin awarding grants in the next few weeks. We're still, that was an initial meeting, and we will have another meeting to actually start looking at grant awards. The MRC, the Abandoned and Derelict Vessel Program, started. We made the award. Contractor started last week. As of today, and you see one of the vessels, the largest vessel here, in the process of being raised. I can report to you today that the sailboat at the bridge is now on dry land, on a trailer, and the vessel you're looking at on the board here as of this afternoon at about 3 o'clock is on a trailer on dry land. Part of the barge there is on a trailer on dry land, and also the boats behind the spoil site at the harbor have been removed. What's left are the outriggers that are there crossing the Coast Guard dock, as well as the barge that's in that location, and they'll be hopefully coming out in the next day or so. Trolley ridership for the month stands at 351 through Sunday the 23rd, and the trolleys will start running today 7 days a week, and will continue on this schedule through Labor Day, at which point we'll revert back to weekends only through the Oyster Festival. The purchase of the trolley should be completed this week, the one we're buying from DRPT, and Billy reports that the trolleys are well, as well as lone school buses and drivers are all lined up for the 4th of July celebration Thursday night. Traffic lights, there was a question of whether we can get a right turn on red after stop sign at the 2 lights that the town currently owns, which is Depot Road and Chicken City. We reached out, or I should say Wes reached out to VDOT in that respect, and asked if they could provide the signs. They promptly replied that they had to do a wind analysis of their structure for these signs, and we said sure, do that. In the meantime,
It's gonna take 3 years.
In the meantime, West called back and you correct me if I'm wrong. Is West called back and said, "Really?" And they replied, "Well, that's our job, but they're your lights, so if you'd rather skip that part, feel free." Which I think is what we were going to do. We're in the process of obtaining the signs. VDOT has their rules and regulations. The SBA 911 project upgrade project, everyone knows that the 2 counties, Accomack and Northampton, are getting new 911 radios, and the entire system's being changed. This picture you're seeing is the facility that was installed at the base of our cell phone tower right back here in the parking lot. It houses the equipment that the new 911 system will use when it's up and running. The latest dates, they'll be doing testing this fall, and hopefully a little later on we'll put that system in service. But you can see this facility is basically complete. Meals and transit occupancy tax for the month of June. Meals was up by a strong 8.5% over June of last year. And I should say that's June collections, that's the activity in May. And TOT was up by 3.5%, which I think both outpace inflation over the time. And they're strong growth numbers, so we're pleased to see that. Looking at our financial situation, I think everyone realizes at our last meeting we have a substantial surplus this year, which the council has already allocated. We still have as of the time of preparation of this table, we still had a few transfers to make, which is why it doesn't show the $1.7 million that we had in surplus. Building and zoning, Mark took care of 13 business licenses, 8 code violations, 14 zoning site visits, 46 permit plan reviews, and I'm going to tell you that's not an easy thing to do, sit down and go over somebody else's drawings. He had 29 walk-ins in June. We had a total cost of construction of $1.1 million and a total building permit fees collected of almost $5,000 in the month of June. And that's all I have. I'll entertain any questions.
Denise?
I can't remember from year to year as far as the trolley's concerned. Do you know if Billy's got like a schedule that, or like a pamphlet?
We do.
Put out?
We have a brochure, and we have several of them. If you'd like some, I'll be glad to furnish.
Yeah, I need something for down at the carnival.
Sure.
And the other thing I got a question for, is it in our, I don't know if it's in a code, state code or whatever, but, about the time before a meeting is scheduled, about when agendas are published. I got hit today with a couple of questions about that they couldn't find the agenda online for tonight.
The agenda, we strive to publish the agenda 3 days before it's due, so the agenda for this meeting should have been
Thursday.
posted Wednesday by 5. It was not posted until Thursday.
Okay.
Now, once it's posted, it should stay there. Sometimes we make revisions in it, we take it down, we revise it, and we repost it. If I'm not mistaken, I took it down to make a revision and forgot to repost it this time. But it
Okay.
was posted originally on Thursday.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mike. Moving on to the police report. Chief.
Good evening, everybody. I am now back from paternity leave, and feels good to be back.
You're on
today.
vacation now, right?
Yeah. So it feels good to be back, and while I've got the mic, I just wanted to give a shout out to everybody that's been working while I've been out, and it's made it a lot easier. Everybody stepped up to the plate, and it's made time away a lot easier. So I just wanted to thank my agency for handling business and stepping up. But June 4th, it's wrote down that I attended this. I did not. Lieutenant Gladding did. Training coordinators meeting at the Hampton Roads Criminal Justice Training Academy. Every year, the state comes out with new forms, and there's all these different trainings and stuff that you have to go to fill the form out properly. The academy has different forms that they roll out, revisions. So they basically teach you how to fill them all out and get them sent in properly, and all agencies from the Tidewater region, or any member of the academy basically attends. So he did that. June 20th, accreditation manager Butler, he attended a Power DMS training seminar. This is pertaining to our accreditation. Typically right now we do paper files. Power DMS is an electronic version. Not saying that we're going to go to it, it's just something that we're looking at. Of course, it costs money, so it could be easier. I've heard pros and cons to it. So Cody didn't say one way or another whether he liked it or didn't. So June 25th, accreditation manager Butler and PFC Adams attended the INTOX ECIR2 recertification training for the Virginia Beach Training Academy. And on June 5th, my name's in here, but this was all Michelle. This was all Michelle. It's off to her. She successfully completed the Department of VCENT audit. It went flawlessly. Aced it. She came in after Amy retired, had to pick up where she left off, really got into books, got paper files squared away, and really knocked it out of the park. So kudos to her. She did an outstanding job. That's all I got.
Any questions? Thanks.
So, golf carts. You may have already thought of this. You may have already done it. Would it be in your agency's best interest and the town's best interest if that code you sent me, that state code that you sent me that day, could that be printed out and given to the campground offices so that when people make reservations,
Yeah, we've had one of the officers has been by 2 campgrounds that I know of,
Okay.
and has talked with the people that are renting these carts out
Okay.
to try to be informative.
Yeah.
Now that's just the owners of the campground
Right.
that are renting them out. In order to get that stuff distributed, you have to print 500 copies every weekend and get them down there by Friday.
Well, what I was thinking about is if they had a copy there and somebody calls up and makes a reservation, they could say,
Yeah.
you're bringing a golf cart,
Here's
here's what
XYZ.
you got to do.
Yeah, we could do that. We can look into that. Yeah, for sure. I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of out-of-state taggers with,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've seen a few here and there.
yeah,
I was just talking to Mike about that today,
yeah.
and I think Billy and I talked about another thing where maybe we could do an inspection.
Yeah.
here at the office, say yea or nay, offer it as like a free service.
I think if they know what to expect before they get here,
Yeah,
when
that's
they're
it.
making a
Yeah,
reservation.
For sure.
Thank you.
To piggyback on that, to give you an example, the other day I was sitting on Maddox at the motel, waiting to turn left to leave. Here came bicycles going to, on the wrong side of the road,
Right.
and followed closely by a golf cart with no tags, but a bicycle in the back, right down the wrong side of the road. And I was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
But it's one of those
Yeah.
things.
It's hard to keep a firm hold on it. You know?
Yeah.
It's-
Good luck.
We're trying. The enforcement on it is
Yeah, you'd have
definitely it's definitely stepped up.
Yeah.
We can't be
Without
everywhere.
a doubt. It
but
can't be everywhere
still.
at once, but the guys are trying. So.
You're being overrun.
Yeah.
In a golf cart tower.
Yeah, golf cart, please. All right. Thanks, Tyler.
Yes, sir.
Public Works, Wes.
Good evening. So one of the first things we did earlier on in the month was there had been a water line that was directional bored in on Little Piney Island, or on Island, and we tied in that water main on the east side drive in first, and that allowed us to flush that pipe and chlorinate it and do bacteria test, and then we tied in the other end that's on the inside there. So we've got a new water line in place and functioning for all of Piney Island. The next thing that hit us was we had an engine go up on one of the truck sprayers for mosquitoes, and we were able to find a motor and get it installed and get that back up and running. So I think we were only down for a total of about 5 days with one of the sprayers there. And next is a picture of the mailboxes. So for all that Mike said, the picture doesn't really do it justice. So if you'd like to go down there and take a look, everybody did a really good job on getting that done. The next project that we undertook was we replaced the crossline pipes on Piney Island Road. We did those overnight on the 17th and 18th of June. And after very little sleep, we got it done overnight. So, and here's the riprap that was installed around the ends of the pipe to keep the soil from eroding when the tide comes in. So. And this is a picture of the connection we did at the YMCA for the fire suppression system. So that was a 6-inch line that we ran from our main and tied into what the YMCA had brought out to us. Items for July, we've got some asphalt paving. We started on Willow Street today. Piney Island will be paved tomorrow, and then we'll finish Willow Street on Wednesday. The concrete sidewalks, we actually had a crew come available at the end of last week after I did this report, so we've got all our concrete sidewalks caught up. Everything that had gotten tore up over the winter and things that needed to be replaced, we've got them all done. Continue with maintenance like spraying weeds and mowing, curb painting. We were doing some of that today. And then, of course, supporting efforts for 4th of July and pony pinning. So, anybody got any questions?
Denise?
You know I do. So last month I'd asked you about the piece of equipment that boards the ditches you were going to get with the salesman. You said, how did that go?
It was ordered. The PO was written on the 27th.
Okay.
It's called Spartan Tools. I explained to him and sent him some pictures of what we've got and what we're working with, and he had a piece of equipment that he recommended, and that's what we've purchased.
Awesome.
Yep.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Is that our first directional bore on the water system? Do we have any other of those around?
You did Wildcat.
We did Wildcat, but it was at the same time.
So these are our first two directional?
That I'm aware of, it's the first ones. Yep.
Mr. Mayor, if I
Yes.
may, The picture you see here is the line was added to, or the lateral was added to the new YMCA. We didn't shut the water line down to do this. This was a wet tap, but Wes procured the equipment for us at a very reasonable price and taught the guys how to use it, and they practiced on it one time in the back and went out and did this job and did it flawlessly. So this is a new capability that Public Works has, being able to wet tap up to a 6-inch line without turning the service off, and they did it flawlessly. The samples came back good. Everything went perfect. And they deserve a lot of credit for that.
Yep.
Thank you, Wes. Yep. Next up, Mr. Rush. Luckily, the hurricane is not coming this way.
Do not talk about it. It's
Do
bad
not
mojo.
jinx it.
Bad mojo. No talk
July
about it.
4th weekend.
Yeah, July 4th weekend. Just what we would need. So anyway, on the EMS side of the house, you can see we finished up the month of June with 104, which is just 8 less than last June. So we're pretty much on that busy pace that we have been on for the last month. Staff has been busy. We started our new protocols today, so all that training had to be completed through the month of June, as well as all the testing that needed to be done. So effective this morning, today's shift started with the updated protocols. Not a whole lot, but certainly enough that required the update to make sure everyone was on par with what they needed to know and what they could do, so that we could provide a better service to the citizens. Also, had a couple crew members, paramedic Drewer and paramedic Shelby Northam, went to Wallops. Wallops requested us to come over for their safety day. So we all know how I like to get in at NASA. So certainly we sent them over, and we did some discussions from the emergency management side, because again, we have a lot of our citizens that work at NASA, and there were some others too. And we tried to turn it into somewhat of a recruiting exercise for both career and volunteer, because we need it, and the other areas here on the shore need volunteers and career providers. So we figured what a better opportunity than to try to do that, but at the safety day. So that was a really good success. And one other note on the EMS side of the house, the Horton ambulance that I talked about a few months ago that the contract was signed on. The ambulance committee and myself met last week, and we met with the salesperson, and we went through line by line, make sure we've got everything going. Hopefully we'll have this unit by the middle to the end of next year is what we're hoping for. And yes, the new one, no one has seen it on the street. It's not being elusive. It's been in the shop in Salisbury since April the 10th. I got an email just a little while ago that a U-bolt has been replaced on it, but the door modules are still not working. However, we could have it back to run it. It will be okay until they can figure out the door module. So, no, the new ambulance is not hiding. I'm not making them keep it in so it's unblemished. It's not been here. So, just the saga in that story, as you know, it's went on. Next slide, please. On the emergency management side of the house, certainly we're monitoring the weather. We continue to participate in the regional catastrophic planning exercise work group. Got another meeting with those folks tomorrow, and I'm going to try to bring them here in August. They're looking to try to move around a little bit, so we'll have Delaware, Maryland, and I'm representing Virginia. We'll be here hopefully in Chincoteague in August, so I'll know that tomorrow. I finally completed the required IPAWS training to get the IPAWS integrated through FEMA into our Code Red system. So now I've got the paperwork out waiting for an MOU that we have to get signed and work through with FEMA. So hopefully, probably by the start of our hurricane season here that we normally see, we'll have IPAWS integrated into our Code Red. Manager Talbert and myself attended a weather exercise at the Chesapeake EOC. For those of you, most of you here at the table, and those in the audience remember the Sears Wish book. I knew what we were walking into because I'd been there before. I think Mr. Talbert was a little surprised, but at every chance I was like, Dad, can we have that? Can we have that? So I think he managed to survive that little trip after all the niceties that we saw there. But
It was nice.
it was certainly nice. Next slide, please. Of course, we're planning for fireworks this Thursday evening. We've got all those preparations in place. You'll start seeing road signs come out Wednesday. I imagine all the road signs. And then our barriers and stuff will be there and ready to be set for Thursday evening. I attended Coffee with Kelly at WESR to do our yearly hurricane informational talk to, again, get information out to the folks so that individuals start to get prepared now. Now's the time to prepare on a blue sky day. You go out here, even if you make one trip to the store a week and you buy one item to put in your emergency kit, that is the way that you need to do it. And of course, there's still a burn ban in effect. Northampton lifted theirs today because they got a ton of rain yesterday and into last night. Fortunately, from a mosquito standpoint, we didn't get much rain yesterday, just that one little shower, but it's still very dry out there. So Accomack and Chincoteague still have a burn ban in effect at this time. Next slide, please. So talking about hurricanes, again, we don't want to talk too much, but it is forecasted to be a very active season. We are all the way up through the seas now, Alberto, Beryl, which is almost a Cat 5. Just went from the Atlantic into the Caribbean this afternoon. And then Chris spun up real fast and is in Mexico raining itself out right now. But again, the key point here is it only takes one and it only has to be close. Now is the time to prepare. Next slide, please. And again, prepare now. Even if you just do one item, maybe a couple non-perishable canned goods each time you go to the store and stock up because, again, it could be the year, might not. Let's hope we're blessed and it's not. But again, be prepared. Next slide, please. So in summary, again, EMS calls are steady and they are busy. It's, again, a forecasted busy hurricane season, and now is definitely the time to prepare. And if anybody hasn't realized it, summer's on us, and so our big events are coming fast and furious. So everyone be safe out there. I'll entertain any questions.
Denise?
Nope.
I've got one question.
Yes, sir.
It's not really a question. It's more of a reiteration. A few years ago, I say it's a few years ago as time passes, we don't have a high water vehicle. And the Humvees are gone, thank the Lord. But and I don't know what the process is to acquire a surplus vehicle, for a high water vehicle. We always get the reserve to come in, but it would be nice if we had one to utilize if we can't get them. If the rest of the states, got them, we might need one. So I'd charge that to you two.
I'll certainly look into it.
Yeah.
And Hancock Fire Department was generous
got
enough
one.
to let us use theirs. Of course, if they're going to be impacted, that would be
Correct.
off the table. And also to decrease any fears that we might have, that is in our initial staging for any type of tropical event where we might have a flooding scenario with causeway closures and so forth. And a chainsaw crew comes with that high water vehicle. But certainly we'll look into getting one of our own.
Be nice. Thanks, Brian.
Like sweating.
Mike is sweating. Another vehicle to pay for.
And we did buy the last police vehicle was a four-wheel drive truck. We had money.
Yeah. See them driving that down an Ocean Breeze one time. Oh.
Turn the trolley into a.
Put a lift on her. Lift it.
Airbags to floater. All right, moving on. A center calendar and center report. Mary Esther.
Good evening, all. I thought it'd be easier to show you the calendar than it would be for me to go through each individual thing. As you can see, I've had 5 days this month. It's been a busy month, and it's been a great month, too. We've had weddings, we've had the graduation for the high school, we've had blood drives, we've had the Rocket Fest, and just goes on and on. I've got a few slides that Mike can scroll down to, give you a little bit. This was the first wedding that we had on the 1st. They came in with a big sticker mat to go on the floor, and it was gorgeous. It was beautiful. Then we had Virginia Space met for 2 days. I didn't get pictures of all the events, but Virginia Space had a couple days where they did interviews with Australian people. I'm not sure what that was about, but we had graduation following that, and then we had a quinceanera. Go back up, Mike. Sorry. Yes, that's a little girl. Now, for those of you who don't know, the quinceaneras are when the Spanish girls turn 15 years old. They're considered becoming a woman at that stage. And that's the decorations. They had beautiful things hanging from the ceiling, and that's her in her dress. It was gorgeous. Then on the 12th, we had the Red Cross was over here. We had a blood drive. Skylar down at Sandy Skies also did a beach sign that you could hang on the door. I didn't get any pictures of that. But then we had Rocket Fest. So a couple of the displays here. For Rocket Fest, those of you who don't know, it's a Cubes in Space program. Kids from all over the country and actually all over the world are eligible to have their experiments sent into space on one of the rockets launched from NASA. So a couple of these were yeast in space. It was really interesting, some of the things they had. It's 80 total. All of their experiments fit in a little square box. The box is loaded in another aluminum box. It's launched from NASA. Then NASA goes out, recovers it, brings it back in, and then they see what happened to their experiment. All of that takes place in one day, and the rocket launch, I believe, was on Thursday that week. So they had about 40 kids, and they build their own rockets. These are the smaller, I forget what they're, model rockets, thank you. They were all in here, and if you can see, the guy sitting up front had a magnification, kind of like an overhead projector, where he was showing them what to do, and they could see it on the big screen, and then they would follow behind and do their own. So then the next day, they got to launch their own. So they launched them from the Little League fields. We got permission from the Little League to let them do that. And they had 40 model rockets that they launched from the Little League field. Really neat. And then they were here all week, actually. Then we had Amy Lewis's retirement party. I think I've got a picture of that a little bit later. We had class of 1969, had their 55th reunion. And then we had a wedding. And this was theirs, Velasquez wedding. That was really beautiful as well. And then we had the Island Community House and Village Neighbors. They had their bingo on the 24th. I didn't get any pictures also of the Little League bingo, but we did have a fundraiser for the Little League. This year we have 4 kids from Chincoteague that are going in the intermediate class. It's 50-70 league, and they won District 8. So they showed Virginia Beach who they were, and now they're going to states this coming weekend. So we had a fundraiser for them. That went very well. And then we had another quinceanera on the 29th this past weekend, and this is what they did to the center. They hung a ring from the center and put a big candelabra in there. It was beautiful. And then on Sunday, we had Miss Jane Peak's celebration of life, which also didn't get any pictures of, but it was very beautiful. The picture of her was perfect. They had, and she was a member of the Garden Club, so they had huge, beautiful arrangements on all the tables, and one really nice one in the beginning as you came in. Already this year, September, October, and November, I have no weekends available at the center. There's something going on every weekend. We've got Blueberry Festival coming up here in the next couple weeks. And, of course, Pony Pennon's pretty busy with the bingo that the museum has, the Buckaroo Bingo on Tuesday. So you'll see information about that soon. Jay, do you know what the times are for that? I'm not even sure.
I'm not sure.
Is it 2 o'clock? Okay. Thank you, Ms. Pat. And that's a packed house. It's usually close to 400 people in there during the day for that. So that's a good event. You guys have any questions about anything? Want to know anything?
Just
Yes,
a
ma'am.
comment. I've been watching you. I mean, I don't think the center's ever done as well as it's doing right now.
No.
Ever, since it's been there. And, man, what a fantastic job.
And I want to put out there for anybody listening at home, if you want to have a craft night, whatever, just give me a call. We'll work something out, and I want to see it get used like it was meant to be used for the community.
You're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you. I'm trying.
So what?
I don't care what author says about you.
I don't listen to him anyway.
That's very true. I was going to ask you if you because it's being used, are there any wants and needs that you need that because of the usage of it?
Oh, Lord. You might better have that conversation.
I asked that last time.
Yeah, I think you did. But, it's one of those things that everybody knows the more you use it, the more you're going to need.
Yeah, the more maintenance it needs. It does need, most things in there, it was built in 96, and most things in there are from 1996. We did upgrade the HVAC system.
Did we show you in this picture the new sound system up here and the new
Which is
AV?
phenomenal.
Listen, yeah, here we go.
Come a long way
You
since
see
the
it, but it was
PVC
very
pipe.
cool in there that night from the new air conditioning.
There are a lot of things, yes. I would love to have a floor cleaner, which we've talked about. That's a lot of floors, 9,000 square feet, if you don't know. And the machine that we use belongs actually to the fire company. We share it. And Sunday morning when I went in, it did not work. So I mopped the whole thing by hand with a mop Sunday morning. I probably might fuss because I should have called him, but he needs a day off too. So that would probably be the more immediate thing that I need.
Floor or a cleaner?
The cleaner. Well, the floor would alleviate the cleaner needs. So. And I'd also, and I know you've done the budget already, but chairs would be the next thing. I think these chairs are very heavy, and a lot of them, stacking them, unstacking them. The screws that hold the pads on both sides keep falling out. And the guys are good about putting them back in. I screw them back in all the time. But yeah, and those are hot items, some pretty big items. But that is.
Anybody else? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to budget and personnel. Mr. Bott?
I don't have anything to report because we handled it at the workshop meeting last month.
Gotcha. All right. I'll entertain a motion to adopt the minutes of our June 3rd and June 20th meetings with the correction of Ms. Knight's name.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. Next on the agenda is Mr. Collins from Charter to give us an update on what's been going on with them.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. It's been a while since I've been with you. I love this island. I'm here about every 3 months. Technically, I live close to the South Carolina line in North Carolina, and it's a long drive, but I love coming up here. It's a beautiful island. Comfort Suites knows me well. I can say that. But in the way of an update to some recent outages that we've had, it's important that we provide excellent customer service to our customers. We're well aware of how important reliable services are here on, not only here on the island, but to all of our customers. During the month of April, I think it was, we incurred a couple outages that lasted a long time. So I wanted to provide you an update on those outages, what transpired, what actions we have taken, and some things we're looking to do in the future. One of those outages, first let me share this with you. Getting over on the eastern shore, we have a tower in Accomack County that serves the entire eastern shore. It's a tower point where it's a distribution for all of our services. But in order to get over to the island, we utilize a third-party provider to ride their fiber to get over the Chesapeake Bay Bridge, because it's more cost-efficient for us to lease fiber than it is to build fiber. And then you have to deal with just Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel group to get fiber on that building on that stretch. So it only makes sense. A lot of providers do this, leasing fiber to get from point A to point B. One of the outages that was incurred with the third-party provider, it was technically our fault. We claim any incident. We take responsibility of it. What we were doing when we were expanding broadband on the eastern shore, and one of our contractors hit the transport fiber. Of course, when they hit transport fiber, it's not our fiber. We can't just repair the fiber. We have to wait and call in to the third-party provider whose fiber we're riding on, and we have to rely on them on the time frame when they're going to come and get it repaired. That repair wasn't as long as the repair that caused probably more grief on the eastern shore, because these outages just did not impact the town of Chincoteague. It impacted the entire eastern shore. The last outage that happened in April was our third-party provider not understanding and not knowing that we were on a fiber circuit coming across the Chesapeake Bay Bridge, and they were doing maintenance on that circuit. They thought we were on a new fiber circuit that they had built, but we were not. We were on the old fiber, and they were doing maintenance through the time period of all activities on the eastern shore during the daylight time, during the business hours. And them not knowing that, that maintenance lasted probably 15, 16 hours, I guess. That's what's been shared with me. Mm-hmm. So we met with a third-party provider. When there's an outage occurs in the system, our network infrastructure team, they're immediately alerted that if there's an outage and it impacts 3 to 4 nodes, they're immediately alerted that there's an outage, whether it's in a small town, whether it's a subdivision of a home, or whether, especially when it's the entire eastern shore, they're immediately alerted. They were alerted. We attempted to reach out to our third-party provider after the fact, and not realizing it after the maintenance they were doing. It just took a while to get the service back up. We deeply apologize that. We take responsibility of the first outage of cutting that fiber and waiting on the repair. The second fiber, we have been in constant contact with our third-party provider, and we've had long discussions about what transpired and how it impacted us as a company, us as a business, and and the residents and the customers that we serve. So through that, the provider moved us to a new circuit and got off their old circuit. In fact, we haven't had an outage at all since that happened. We have been a long partner with this third-party provider for many, many years. And again, since April, I don't think we've had an outage, a major outage at all at that point. The other thing that I want to bring up and I want to mention is this. With that fiber transport that comes across the Chesapeake Bay Bridge, it really made us, especially the length of that outage, made us rethink about, as a company, what kind of redundancy we have here on the Eastern Shore. So currently, for the future, we're working on a redundancy coming out of Maryland. That way, if a fiber is cut, a main transmission distribution fiber is cut, or anything happens, we can reroute everything in a snap of a finger. In fact, it automatically reroutes, so there is not a major outage that impacts the entire Eastern Shore. So our commitment to this council, and in fact to the entire Eastern Shore, is that we're working diligently with a third-party provider to make sure that this doesn't happen again, and we're working diligently to provide redundancy for the entire Eastern Shore. And I'll be glad to take any questions that you may have.
Billy?
As far as the redundancy, any kind of timeline when that might be completed?
Well, there's two things we're looking at. We're looking at either ways building the fiber or leasing the fiber. My understanding is from our construction team and our operations team, if we build the redundancy, it's going to require quite a few miles. We're going to have to build some redundancy anyway, even if we lease fiber from another third-party provider. I would say going the end of 2024, going into 2025.
And lastly, one of the things that we've heard more from constituents than anything is that when you have outages that affect, just like you said, the entire Eastern Shore of Virginia, why do customers have to call in and request credits? I mean, you certainly have the capability to look up by zip code where an outage is actually hit, just like with the one that happened in April. It's 15, 16 hours. We had a long-term outage in February, long-term outage in January.
Yes.
Almost just as long. Why do customers have to call in and get those credits? Why wouldn't we just pull that, or why wouldn't you just pull that information by zip code and issue those credits accordingly?
Yeah, typically that is a company, that's how we do it. We allow the customers to call in. But other than that, that's the best answer that I can give you. That's typical business model that we follow.
Yeah, you would think it would be less burden on your folks, on your call centers, if it was just taken care of instead of everybody having to call in, and less frustration for the customer too.
Yes, sir.
Just to piggyback off of that, and one thing that I heard was, customers would call in and say, I've got an outage, and on your end, they would say, no, it's not out there.
Yeah. I actually did that.
Yeah, and that, there's costs, we have call centers, and the call centers are spread apart. When our NOC, what we call a NOC, when they identify the outage, that notification goes out in the way of email, but if you don't have email and you don't have service, you don't get the email. So that's something I can go back with. I'll be glad to go back with that question.
Thank you.
Mr. Bott?
Yeah, I'd like to see a diligent effort be made to oversee the contractors that, like you're using. I know broadband, I have both services, broadband and Spectrum Charter, and broadband got hit last week. I think it was Wednesday through Thursday morning up at Scales in New Church by a contractor. I think your April outages were due to a subcontractor down in Exmoor area.
Yes.
I think there needs to be a concerted effort with you and the other providers to really keep an eye on these contractors, because they seem to be pretty flagrant with their augers and their earth-moving machines. I mean, I know you probably realize that now.
Yeah, and it goes both ways. We're getting cut by other providers as well. And I agree.
They're pretty flagrant on their disregard for using this utility and looking at the schematics and so forth. From what I understand from some others that are working with the other transmission companies as well, our area seems to be ripe with these problems.
Yeah. And I'm in constant contact with our VP of operations, and I will definitely make her aware of that.
No, thank you very much for explaining everything.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Collins. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda is a DRPT authorization that Mike needs to sign something. Any discussion on that authorization? No? I'll entertain a motion that we approve it.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. The only thing left is comments. Ms. Allen? Denise?
Busy season, we all know it. A lot happening. We opened up Carnival this past weekend. Minor hiccups. Only threw something once, but it was okay. There's a lot of people moving around out there, and tempers can get frustrating and everything. I just, I want everybody to have a good time. Have a good summer. Enjoy your visit here. Be kind to everybody. Mike, thank you again for taking care of the boxes and Ocean Breeze and things like that. Tyler, your guys are on top of it all too, and so is Brian's and Wes's. And just for me, I appreciate it. We've got a busy season ahead of us. It's going to be hot, miserable, and all that good stuff. But, I think we got the best of the best. So, thank you.
Mr. Bont?
Nothing this time, thank you.
Billy?
Just want to say, as far as to echo what Denise said about the boxes and Ocean Breeze, I know having lived in the HOA a few years ago, we had a box system, and they were very, very expensive to even procure as far as the boxes themselves. And I know that the agency.
$100,000 is what I was told.
What's that?
$100,000 for
Yeah.
USPS to buy those boxes.
Yeah, and the residents there didn't pay a dime for what was installed there. So, hats off to Wes and his team. I was down there Saturday, came back from the harbor, cut through there, and very nicely done. It's a great improvement for that community. So, just want to say thank you and wish everybody a happy 4th.
Gene Wayne?
We're so blessed on this island to have people like Miss Jane Pete. And we take them for granted. And David, I'm going to tell you to your face. I ain't going to do it after you're gone. Like you say, you were talking about things we don't have down there. A lot of things we did down there at the park. The land, everything. And like I say, we take it for granted. But it's so much for our community. And it's with the time and effort that the volunteers put in on this island. I know you think that we thank you so much. Because I know, like Denise, I know when she was first running for council, we want to have a place for the elderly. Y'all have provided that. You know what I'm saying? And I hope in our budget we put $5,000 in it. You know what I mean? And because, like you say, guess what? Built a building and stuff to have this stuff. And it's so important. And like I said, please don't think we're taking it for granted. We're not. And we do appreciate each and every volunteer that's put the time, the effort, the money. And it's a constant thing. And we do thank you all. And Miss Pete, like you said, in our life, we thank you all. And please, I know you can get frustrated, but don't. Please keep on. Like you say, doing things for the youth, for the elderly, because like the park's name, Grounds Commons Park, we need kindness more now than ever. So please continue is what I'm saying. Devil wants you to say, yeah, nobody cares and quit. No, don't. Don't look at the negative, because the positive is so much there. And we appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Jay?
I just want to do a shout out, kudos to the Public Works Department. And I've gone through Ocean Breeze several times while the process was going on with the boxes and so forth. I think it's a great job, and it's just another example where our town is going above and beyond at times to help the citizens of this community, and it's just great job. And also shout out to Mary Astor as well.
Yeah.
And great job that it's going better than it ever has, and just condolences to the Peak family for sure. Sorry.
All right. Well, I'd be out on the street if I didn't congratulate Mary Esther too. I mean, she does. I mean, she's there more than she's home. And it's not just the activities, while she's there. It's set up, clean up, scheduling. It's all that stuff. Meeting with the different people that are running it, the day before or afterwards, and it's time consuming. So I have to congratulate her on that. And she loves it. It's, anybody that leaves her profession of 28 years to come do this, she really must. So, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Motion properly seconded. All those in favor of going home say, I do.
I do.